All right, welcome back for another visual walkthrough. I've created another visual for the sprint review event in Scrum. It is much like the others, not the only way to do it, nor the best way to do it, but it is a way to do it, and I'm hoping you'll find it helpful. So as usual, I'll show you how to find it. You go to my website, pragmaticshift.com. You go to the blog area. You can now find it right there. It's the latest one. Might not be the latest one by the time you're watching this video. Scrum Event Agendas Sprint Review. You click that one. Takes you to this site, and as you can see, it's a simple agenda with a silly little comic about one way of doing sprint reviews. And as with the sprint planning agenda, it's not the best way, the right way, or the only way to do it. It is a way to do it. The key thing in all of this is to find what works for you and your context. However, please feel free to use it, share it, ignore it to your heart's content. And if you do find it helpful, I would love to hear from you. You can click that link, you can comment on this YouTube video, like, share, subscribe, so to speak. It's all very, very helpful to what it is I'm trying to do. And you can download your own free PDF by just clicking this link below. No signups needed or anything. In fact, I'm going to click it right now to show you how easy it is. Click, downloading, and done. And as on a cooking show, I've prepared one from earlier, and here it is. So let's talk through it. So the sprint review. First of all, what are the inputs we need? Well, for the sprint review, we would very much like the product goal and product backlog, of course, if you're doing Scrum. You probably also have a vision. That is something you would want to bring into that as well. You of course need the Scrum team and your stakeholders. Not optional for this event. The stakeholders have to attend. If you don't have your stakeholders there, there's no point. There should be no surprises for the Scrum team from the Scrum team during the sprint review. We are there to learn from our stakeholders, and they are there to learn about what has happened and provide some input as well. It's a collaborative event between the two, the Scrum team, the stakeholder status. Any roadmaps you have, budgets, forecasts, anything as such that might be useful or beneficial to get some input on. Of course, any outcomes from the sprint, as well as the increment. We of course have a done increment at least once per sprint that you can share, and any business and marketplace changes as well. Usually those are brought by the stakeholders, but perhaps you have some to share with the stakeholders as well. Once we're done, we're hoping that the input will be an updated product backlog. Sounds very simple, but of course, there's a little bit that goes into to get that magic sauce, right? The agenda then, at a high level, I would suggest the product owner shares the vision and product goal. You know you're doing it enough when your stakeholders and perhaps even the Scrum team starts rolling their eyes and sighing and tapping their feet a little bit as the product owner does this. But that's a good thing. That means they know it, right? And if you don't know the vision and product goal, you're doing it wrong, right? They should know it. They should almost be sick of hearing it. Hopefully not. They should still be interested in getting us there, so they should still be keen on it, but they should know it inside out. After that, the Scrum team shares the sprint goal and any outcomes of the sprint. The Scrum team then shares the increment with the stakeholders to elicit feedback, right? Ideally something that you can actually give to them. Might also be the results of the increment that you go through together. The Scrum team and stakeholders then collaborate to clarify, understand, and collect any feedback on that increment or the results of releasing that increment, right? Maybe you've already released it and it's a matter of talking about, hey, we put this into the world already with our product, and this is what our customers are saying. This is usage statistics, maybe even sales, any other data you might be able to talk to and look at together is beneficial to bring to the sprint review. Your stakeholders then hopefully share any updates on the market and business changes that they know that you don't. And again, perhaps vice versa. Scrum team and stakeholders then review any roadmaps, budgets, and forecasted release dates that you might have. Again, you do this with the purpose of understanding together, how's it looking, what do we want to do next, do we want to change anything? And with that in mind, the product owner then shares the product backlog to review and discuss the next steps with the stakeholders. And it is discuss, right? It's not to tell them exactly what it's going to be. Sure, the product owner should share their intent, but the stakeholders are there to help us out as well. We are there to learn from them. So they might tell us something that we weren't aware of or share something that we weren't aware of. And then that's where that discuss, that collaborative effort comes in to understand, we think this is the next most valuable thing to do. This is where we're heading. What do you think? And they might have another idea. And then we try and find the best path forward, which might still be what we had in mind already, or it might be something completely different based on what we learned during the sprint review. The product owner then updates the product backlog as needed in time for sprint planning. Now, ideally, this is of course done within the event, within the sprint review, although most of the time the product owners I've worked with have just not had the time to do it within the sprint review. However, I would expect them to have taken notes and be ready to get that done in time for sprint planning, because by the time we get to sprint planning, we want to know what we're doing, right? Because that's what we're talking about in that event. And then this is a little comic. Well, it goes like this. We have the Scrum team. Welcome to our sprint review. As you know, we're here to make this vision a reality, with our first product goal being whatever it is for that team. This sprint, we achieved this, and here are the results, right? So they actually got something at the door. They got an increment at the door and released it. And they're actually sharing some of the results of that release, what their customers are saying. We also found a way to reduce our time to market by 3 days. So it might not be just about what they released, but maybe they're saying, hey, not only did we get stuff out the door, we're getting better at getting stuff out the door, which is nice to know, right? Especially if these are investors, so they're paying the team to get something done on their behalf. It's nice to know that the people they're paying are getting better at doing that. And then the Scrum team prepared some of them for these stakeholders to play around with, right? Whatever the product might be. And as usual, would love your feedback, right? So they're saying, here is the increment. Here's the latest increment, whatever we built. Please play with it, use it, break it, and let us know what you think. And we've got the stakeholders here saying, hey, I used it a lot this week. It's great. Another one saying, wait, when would I use this? You know, I don't understand how this is valuable. I don't understand the use case for this product, actually. And another one might be surprised that we've already released something. So we've actually spoken about real live data about post-release stats, right? And based on our current forecast, would like to, based on our current forecast, would likely need to move some stuff around in order to get to where we want to go, right? And then one of the stakeholders asks, okay, well, will my request be done in time for the expo? And another one might say, hey, we should probably talk about this AI thing, right? It's kind of blowing up lately. And then we move to the next step, right? We're working with the stakeholders, right? It's collaborative, not combative. And then the product owner says, all right, so if we want to get ready for the expo, I would suggest we do this, right? Maybe we move some things around, maybe remove something, add something, change something, merge something, and ask for the thoughts. Another one of the developers says, all right, well, don't forget that this enabler would need to get done for that work, right? So yeah, that's nice, but actually there's additional things that would be needed for that to even be possible. And then one of the stakeholders actually goes, hang on a minute, is this expo really worth pivoting for? You know, I'd rather see you fix this issue with the responsiveness that perhaps they've heard from some of their customer base that they're concerned about. After we had all that wonderful conversation, maybe we've updated the product backlog, we've agreed some next steps. Scrum team says, hey, thank you for working with us. We'll take your ideas into account for the next sprint. Hopefully, if you've done things right, your stakeholders are tired, right? I'm exhausted, but it's been a great session today, and hopefully they learned a lot. And we learned a lot from them as well. That is the idea, right? It should be a tiring session. It should be a working session. And both the Scrum team and stakeholders should leave with more knowledge and more value than they entered the event with. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching as usual. I hope you find it valuable. Take care.